Hello everybody, welcome back to another Limbus Company video. If you read the title, then you know today's going to be a fool's or an idiot's guide to doing Mirror Dungeon Extreme, which came with the current season of Limbus Company. Now, there's probably a lot of guides out there that give you probably like an in-depth way of doing it, but come on, we're Limbus Company fans. We don't read. So, I'm going to break down steps to having I would say nearly 100% success rate in doing Mirror Dungeon Extreme and Mirror Dungeon Extreme solos. Because, yeah, everyone wants to flex on their friends. I know I do. So, let's start with it. I'm going to be breaking down this guide into two different, really, areas. First is the understanding of, like, core game mechanics. That being, how does offense level up, clash power, base power, final power, defense level, and brutality, as in coin power, work. Then we're going to talk about basic E.G.O gifts that you should always be looking out for, no matter what team comp and setup you're doing. Then probably one more area, and a lot of people already know how to do this, but looking at certain identities and their support capabilities for solo run. Going into it, let's start with talking about how clashing and core game mechanics work in Mirror Dungeon. So, if you've been playing Limbus Company for a long time and have unlocked the Mirror Dungeon and Mirror Dungeon hard mode / extreme mode, you'll understand that, well, clashing is kind of the most basic part of Limbus. When your clashes, you do damage, or you do certain effects like that. What you probably were going to question is, how does offense level up, defense level up, offense level down, defense level down, clash power up, defense power up, attack power up, power ups in general, and coin power work? Well, that's what we're going to talk about real quick. So starting off, we're going to talk with attack power up, because that's probably the most common effect, same with offense level up, that you'll get during your Mirror Dungeon. Attack power up will raise your final power, which is basically during your coin clash. If you have 3 coins, the final coin's power will then be raised by the value that you have of power up. Same thing with attack power up. Both of those are final power related, so those stack. So if you have 9 attack power up and another power up on top of that, you're easily getting an additional 12 added to your coin last, which is really good. Clash power changes that. Clash power gives you clash power, which basically means when you're clashing, each individual coin will now get the additional effect, which is really nice, of course. It allows you to stack up numbers pretty quickly, especially if you have a high-hitting coin that goes on multiple times, like Rip Space. Really nice. I mean, there's not much to talk about that. Same thing works with defense power-up as the attack power-ups work, except it works for your defense skills. So I gotta get to it. Now here comes the hard part, trying to really explain for the first time. Offense level up and defense level up. Because me personally, for as long as I've been playing the game, I'm not exactly sure exactly what the average correct amount is. Some people say 5, some people say 3. But around that range, the average of every 3 offense level to 5 offense level up is the equivalent of 1 clash power, which is really good, because when we get into E.G.O gifts, there are a couple of them which just boost your attack power up by like a crazy amount. You're going to be clashing, and you'll be easily cleaning mirror dungeons with it, alright? And being able to flex on your friends that you complete your Mirror Dungeon Battle Pass, or that you hit 23,000 in the Mirror Dungeon. Alright. Crazy stuff. Alright. Next up, this one's less important, because defense level up and offense level up work the exact same way for the offense level down and defense level down. It just lowers their clash power. But we're going to talk about damage up real quick. This one's less important, because this one's just like a minute thing, because it's percent based. It's 10% for each damage up, and it stacks at 10. So you get a 100% damage boost with all 10. You can't raise it past. I've tried to raise damage up past that, but I'm pretty sure if you also have other damage ups, like the Sin Affinity one, you'll be able to go past it. I've never really done like the internal damage calculations. I'm not as cool as other people do that. Remember, this is an idiot's guide. So I'm just trying to keep you up to pace on how to do this properly without getting yourself into too much of a hassle. So that's all that does. And there's hundreds of E.G.O gifts. Not hundreds, but there's a lot of E.G.O gifts that increase your damage up. So that one's not like an intense conditional. But here's one for I think these two are like maybe the most important ones to keep out for, and it's plus coin boost. There are E.G.Os, and then there are certain I think certain characters probably have a plus coin boost that you can easily keep stacking, or minus coin down, like coin down. And I think like one of those is the regret Faust, really good if you want to play around with making your enemies basically clash for 0 at the end of a run. Protection, going back to that, I think is probably one of the most important things. Obviously, you can't actually make it do 100% less damage all the way, but certain characters can reach that conditional. I did a Contempt All Ryoushu run a while ago when the N-Corp ID came out. You can easily get like making characters do basically 1 or 0 damage at the end of a run with her. Once again, it's just one of those things where protection is, there's like 2 main E.G.O gifts you want to pick up for it, and you just take 70% less damage for the run, which is really good, obviously. Like really, really good. Yeah. Coin boosts. All right. I brushed this out because I want to talk about protection, but let's talk about coin dropping and coin boost. So they're both fundamentally the same thing. One's for plus coins, one's for the minus coins. All right. And then when it's inflicted on you from the enemy, it's going to probably be the reverse, and it's going to forcibly drop your coin value for a turn. Sucks. But it just takes away the power of the coin by the effects count. So, it just docks off like 1 point off of it. Like if you were to like do the math, it'd be like, I don't know, like -1 on each part of the coin. That's really what it is, or +1 for each part of the coin. I might be wrong about that one. I don't really use the plus coin thing. I don't really have an issue when the enemies do it in my runs. But of course, if you think it's an issue, always clash it if you can. Otherwise, bite the bullet. And of course, there are like unique buffs that certain characters have for certain conditionals. Like Blade Lineage is like one I think of first, and that's I believe it's called Swordplay of the Homeland. It just like increases final power, basically. It's really good for the Blade Lineage, obviously. Really nice. And a lot of characters also have their own unique status that you can abuse. Of course, another one's like the Heishu pack. Heishu pack, especially if you have the regular Honglu. Honglu gives himself offense level up for just existing with his Heishu pack, either in substitution or on field. So innately, he clashes really well. Same with the other ones. And I believe with that, I think that covers this first section, talking about damage ups. Now, those E.G.O gifts. This is the bread and butter. This is what makes people play Mirror Dungeons, besides clashing high and doing a lot of damage and flexing on their friends. Or working at like a 9 to 5 and getting shard boxes for the new identity or E.G.O this season. Whoever to their own, But you'll always have E.G.O gifts for the most part, some way or another. So, let's talk, alright? Big one that starts off with E.G.O gifts that comes to my mind are the rocks. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you ever, when you were in a mirror dungeon, you were fusing stuff and you were trying to get like, everyone wants and their main theme gift, Bleed, Rupture, Poise. You're trying to get a Thrill, you're trying to get the Red Blossom, or you're trying to get Artistic Sense or the Critical Strike. Yeah. And then you get that silly rock. Well, it turns out that rock's got a lot more usage than just sitting there and rotting for your E.G.Os. That's right. With 2 of those rocks, and then you're getting the Slash Rock, a Pierce Rock, and the blunt rock and collecting it like it is Slenderman's pages, you can then get something called the Lunar Memory. It is a tier 5 gift. Surprising, yes, tier 5 gift. And what it will do is it'll make any enemy you fight for the rest of that run be fatal to every sin affinity and every slash type. And what's the beauty in that? That means you just don't gotta worry about staggering anymore. Because now you can actually go and just whack them now. You'll do fatal damage all the time. That's a big one. Now, if you remember, I was talking about poise for a moment ago, making fun about the, the crit. Yeah, because crit in Limbus Company normally it's kind of booty. I know. Everyone likes hearing the funny crit noise. But what if I were to tell you that there's a E.G.O gift in the dungeon that can give you something that will make critting feel fun again? That's right, fun again. And that is called Clear Mirror Calm Water. What that does is when you get a critical hit and you consume poise, you gain 15 offense level up, and when fully maxed out, 2.5 times crit damage instead of the normal 1.2 times crit damage. Isn't that lovely? I think that's lovely. Everyone likes hitting harder, and that one's like a staple E.G.O gift. But you're gonna be wondering, well, I don't use poise. How do I get this gift to work? Well, that's why this tier 2 gift called Nebulizer exists for a reason. Upgrade that bad boy once, and guess what? For the rest of that run, you basically are given chances to crit. But you want to make that critting more guaranteed, you say? Well, that's where we're going to talk about the themed gift packs. One most important one is going to be Miracle on the District. Look, it's Santa, all right. Don't bully me. I don't remember the name of these packs. Okay. You're gonna beat up Santa. You're gonna steal his dog. You're gonna steal his beautiful Santa hat, and then you're going to take his sack, and you're gonna merge them all together, and you're gonna have a beautiful gift that is going to basically make critting guaranteed for you. Isn't that lovely? It's lovely, isn't it? I think it's lovely. That being called the Jolly Plushie. Very, very cute fella. Now, of course, what it does is it gives you more protection and more damage. And you could fully heal a SP upon being staggered. And you gain a lot more poise and poise count. Who doesn't like that? I like that. Like I just said, I like that. Anyone should like it, and it's a good gift. Alright? Those are like staples. Now, on top of that, we're going to bounce back to another themed gift pack, and that's the Hell's Chicken. Hell's Chicken has 3 E.G.O gifts that typically most people overlook when they're doing mirror dungeons. A lot of people go for the chicken's chicken. You know, get the drumstick, get the breast, get more count when you use burn moves or rupture moves, you know. But we're going to talk about Tango Marinade, which gives you more clash power based on the speed difference of you and your opponent. Very nice. I mean, more clash power. Second one is the needle. Well, I think it's like thread and needle. What that does is, just like the cool Scarlet Moth thing, you know, plus affinity, you get your skill done twice on other people for partial damage. This one attacks another person for partial damage of what you initially did. Who doesn't like it? More damage. Which means if you combine it with certain exterior effects, you can get like a crazy damage number. Alright, everyone likes crazy damage numbers. Third gift is a contaminated thread needle, I believe is what it's called. And what it does is it takes part of your damage number and then makes that into bleed potency. This is important because another staple E.G.O gift for your run is going to be the tier 4 red glossy plum from the bleed section. This is important because it gives you, I believe, 4 bleed potency and like 12 to 16 bleed count. I forget the exact amount. But the main point is after turn 1, when you attack the opponent and you stack in 99 bleed stacks, right? you will be able to get them down, I believe, about 30 or 33 offense level down and defense level down. Of course, that's like the most important part of it. Then another E.G.O gift that has very great importance in your run is, I also going to say, is Artistic Sense and Downpour. Artistic Sense, of course, comes from thinking. More look, I don't need to go too much explanation. It's more damage for having sanity and the other opponent not having sanity. It's goated, all right. It's goated. It's like 30 to 50% more damage. All right, it's nice. Then Downpour. The reason Downpour is important is not because just the tremor bursting part, but it's because the combination with other tremor gifts allows you to stack a heinous amount of offense level down and defense level down on your opponent. That is thanks to Melted Eyeball, which on Tremor Burst applies 5 and 5 of each, respectively. And there's another one, I believe it's like a tier 1 or a tier 2. It's a bottle, all right? I believe it's called like Reverberation, I believe it's called. So it's a funny gift. I have it here in my little index here. Let me take a look here. Yeah, Reverberation. Yeah, this thing, yeah, I knew I wasn't tweaking. Oh man. Unk's getting old for this. Anyway, max it out, and basically you inflict more defense level down. And bind. And then if they also have a certain amount of tremor potency, which you'll easily be able to stack exterior effects like that, you'll also give them paralyzed and more defense level down. And who doesn't like that? I like that. You like that? I hope you like that. I mean, come on. Defense level down. Goated. Stay locked to the bag with that one. Those are like the main gifts I'd like talk about. Everything else is kind of a yours choosing, knowing what your stats effect is. And I would encourage you to, when you're doing your runs, read each E.G.O gift carefully and see if you have some either stats effect or group effect that merges perfectly into your, your team comp. Now, here comes the funnest part about E.G.O gifts. These exclusive tier 4 gifts that you get later on in your run. If you even get them at all. I get unlucky a lot and I don't get them that often. Those are the secret boss E.G.O gifts. I would say personally, if you're having a really good time, just take each one that shows up to you. But if you're noticing your clashing is like getting sloppy, going into the extreme floors, I would take one early on, but like after floor 13, I'd be like a bartender, cut yourself off. Because no. Because if you lose that, it won't let you progress and your run's going to end predetermined. Sucks, but it happens. So don't let that ruin your day. Identities. You've been waiting for it. I've been wanting to talk about it. Let's talk about identities. So when you're doing a mere dungeon, a lot of people will say status effects or team synergy, which is absolutely correct. Team synergy is probably one of the biggest plays in Mirror Dungeon. And solo runs, not so much. Solo runs we're going to talk real quick after this one about. And when it comes to team synergies, you want to look for certain status effects that are repeated. Because guess what? Certain status effects that get repeated tend to get a bigger buff for having certain fusion gifts. That, like Rupture, Poison. Every archetype has their fusion gifts. Very nice. It's always good. Another good part for Mirror Dungeons is dual status effects. Dual status effects. Okay, look, a lot of people play behind one archetype. Like when you're doing Blood Fiends, right, you're mostly trying to play behind their synergy with just bleed. But what some people will tell you is because of how Mirror Dungeons are set up for 7 fights in a row, you can get away with, get this crazy part, you can get mirror dungeon gifts that also do rupture if you bring in rupture characters to fill in the extra slots, because then you can get the gift for 5 rupture characters, and you can work it with your original 5 gift for bleed. That's like a common one. And on top of that, you got gifts for your pierce setups, your slash setups, your blunt setups. You always have ways to get that. And that's just like talking about synergy wise for identities, which for a lot of people that makes sense. And then also knowing, and this is where we're about to go into, and this is going to perfectly tie into the next segment we're going to talk about, which is the solo identities, and that is support passives. As you know, look, in mirror dungeons, most of the time you're just running the main 7 or 6 characters on the field at all times. All right, they're not really dying. All right, mirror dungeons is just like a punching bag ground for the most part. So what do you do with the extra characters in the off slot? Well, you find passives that will benefit your team. So that means sometimes you're going to be swapping out characters that you typically wouldn't pick up, all right? And I'm going to sound crazy. I wasn't doing this until like a couple months ago when this came out, right? And everyone was trying to figure out how to do this for the first time. I put Base Mersault because he has a beautiful support passive, and T-Corp Dawn has a beautiful passive, reducing incoming damage even further. It's beautiful. It's perfect. Look for those type of stuff. I'm telling you, you're going to find a new world of understanding when you realize there are certain passives that just work for just setting them off field and then bringing a main team composition. And you don't even have to think. You just can glance and see, oh, reduces damage by 30%. Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, reduces damage by 10%. You know, it's good. It's good. You don't need to actually like think about how you're gonna get a certain character to get certain flash value out of this, or if I'm getting value out of that, you know? So it's perfect. Exactly how it is. Alright. Now, solo characters. To make this easier, I'm going to put some gameplay in the background while talking about the character I chose to solo with, and then I'm going to break down exactly what you should be looking for here. In my case, I chose to solo with the new Ryoushu ID, which is, you know, the Night Drifter led Dayu ID. Very cool identity indeed, alright. So starting through, right, you'll look at the character you want to solo with, alright? You'll look at their affinities and their skill typing. I know, that sounds corny, that sounds stupid. You want to play the game, you want to use your favorite character. Well, look, I know, it's a dummy's guide, but you still got to do a little bit of thinking, especially when it comes to a solo guide. In her case, she was Mono Pierce, which meant, guess what? Pierce support effects will be really good for her. Then you'll notice that she has a Gloom, a Glutton, and a Pride skill. Well, what's the importance of that? Well, I'll break it down. First off, there's a E.G.O gift in the game that requires basically just 7 charge count, which later on you can easily reach, that gives Gloom Affinity characters, which she is, 1 free power-up. Simple. Alright. She's innately Poise and Rupture. Okay. Poise gifts are going to be the starting point. Beautiful. Pick up the Pierce gifts on top of that. You're getting clash power. You're getting value out of that, as some people would say. You know, like Andrew Tate says. You get value. 100%. And that's okay. Alright. That's like basic thinking. Now, when it comes to character support, well, it's simple. We are going to look at her team composition. You're going to find out, well, T-Corp Dawn's a staple, Base Mersault's a staple, Base Rodya is a staple. You're going to probably pick up one of the many Gregor identities that give healing either during clash or post-clash. Perfect. And that's just like the basics, all right? You know, get into the flow. Look for damage multipliers. Look for fun stuff. For Ishmael, you could do, you know, Jang's office, or you could do her base, because her base identity gives you free clash power for just getting low. For Heathcliff, you had the Pequod, you have the new U branch, and you have R Corp, boosting Pierce or Clash value of choice, alright? There's something always there, alright? For Yi Sang, I went with, you know, W Corp because it does more damage for Rupture on the opponent, you know. Kind of be easy conditional. Another people would say is use Wu branch, right? And then another one for Faust, Regret Faust works, Base Faust works. I only don't like Base Faust because Base Faust requires you to basically gamble every turn to get the offense level down on your opponent. So, you know, the one that's better, in my opinion, is Regret Faust. For the clash power for against negative status effects on your opponent. Always lovely. I mean, and then for Sinclair, you used the Morocco's Sinclair. That's what I used. And for Outis, lovely Outis, you kind of have two options. You could do G Corp Manager, or you can do Base Outis. Both of them are really good as well. And that and all is just, that's the composition. That's it. That's all you need to think about. Just take a quick look at what you have and then boom. Simple as that. And then you'll get to do funny stuff like hit, I don't know, 70 clash power, 80 clash power, which is an achievement you need. Well, not need now because of the extreme mode coming out, but just stuff like that. Very nice conditionals to reach. So now that we've now discussed exactly what team comp you should be probably running beforehand for a solo run, we're going to talk now about, you know, choosing the E.G.O gifts for starting. Obviously, choose into your status type first through the first selection, and then turn on the select E.G.O gift searching. When you do that, there's going to be something called, I believe, the Knight's Blessing, which is in the keyword list, tier 3 gift, must have. Then there's something that's the Manor gift, which either you do floor 1 or you go collect it. That one's a sinking tier 3 gift. Those two are must-haves because it negates stagger damage and also negates any fatal damage typings, which make your run 10 times more bearable when doing it. For your third gift, honestly, just pick whatever you need, or an economy gift. I would say economy gift over everything else if you have your run planned out. Otherwise, grab something that can boost your attack power or fulfill a silly conditional that you want to do during your run. And thanks for watching. Have a good night, have a good day, or a good afternoon. I'll try to make another video sometime soon. I know I've been slacking, but do stay tuned, like and subscribe. I am going to put out more content.